Hi friends, Renee Keys here with Carolina Creative. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and I'm here with card making ideas for you. Today is another sneak peek for the new mini catalog launching that first week of September. And today is another Christmas set. This is the traditional labels set. You can see there's a lot of great sentiments. You could actually build labels if you wanted to make tags and things like that. Merry Christmas, some nice greetings, season's greetings, sending lots of love. These stamps are already curvy for a reason. I'll show you in just a second, but then you can mix all these words. You could say merry and bright on the front of a card. You could mix happy wishes. There's all kinds of different combinations you could put together. With this bundle also comes the die set. And so this, now you see why there's curves. It goes with this banner and the stamps fit right in there. But I love the fact that you could stamp a smaller sentiment on one of these and then place it and layer it on these larger shapes. So there's a lot of options with this. There's also beautiful paper that goes with this, and it's also called Traditions. I'm going to get Traditions of Christmas. Make sure I said it right. I'm just going to show you one sheet today. This is what I'm going to be working with. But you can already see the gorgeous colors and that there is a sparkly gold in there. So real red, old olive go with this. There's even a little bit of pool party. And then the flip side is a neutral. So this is a stripe, but in navy. Very, very pretty. But I'm going to focus on this today. So the first thing I want to do, and I didn't remove that banner, I wanted to pull this die banner off because I'm going to work with that and cut a very simple die, and then I'm going to let the Designer Series paper do the talking, and that's going to be the focus of my card. So here's my little workspace. I've got my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine right here. So let me, and I decided, I looked at Pool Party and didn't really like it. There's some pale green in here, so I'm using soft seafoam. And I'm going to put my banner on there and just run this through and die cut that shape. And then you'll see I've got two ink colors picked out, so I'm trying to keep this simple. This is introducing a third color to the card, which I'm okay with. I don't mind having multiple colors, but this is a busy paper, so I wanted to keep that in mind. All right, set that aside. I do have a real red card base, so I'm working with that. I pulled out two ink colors, real red and old olive, because I thought it went with this paper the best. I almost went with the pale pink. I'm guessing that's Pretty in Pink. But I decided let's keep the focus on the red. So I'm going to cut a 3 3/4 inch strip first and then make a square. So I'm trying to decide, do I get some of the big poinsettia? How do I, not that it matters. Usually I'm totally random with this. That'll work. So 3 3/4. I'm going to slice it this way, set that aside, and I want a square. So I'm going to do another 3 3/4. And this will now frame beautifully on my 4 by 4 inch old olive. Now, I could have cut the, let's see if it would fit. The die, it sure would, out of old olive. I was afraid that was a little dark, which is why I went with a lighter green. I think I want to stamp in red, so I really wanted the red to pop, and the red doesn't show up as much on the old olive. It does show up, I shouldn't say that, but I really wanted the red to pop. I was afraid the white would be kind of boring, so I didn't go with white. But my thinking is build the card with this, and I may put this, running across on an angle. So for the inside, let me start with the inside. Now, the other thing I did was I went back. I needed to go with the label set. There's no other images. So I went back to last year's Golden Greenery and just picked out a bough, a little pine bough, because it will match with what's already on this card. So, if you've got it, use it. That's my motto here. So I'm going to stamp my sentiment first, and I'm going to use real red. And this is a very simple card. Merry Christmas. Doesn't get any simpler than that. These are two separate stamps, And so therefore you can build these to say different things. It could say Happy Christmas. Like I said, it could say Merry and Bright. There's lots of different things you could do. I'm staying traditional Merry Christmas. Now I am going to go ahead, and because my red ink is open, I'm going to ink up the Sending Love and Joy in red. Like I said, I really wanted this to pop. And I'm going to put it on this soft sea foam. The beauty of these stamps, these photopolymer stamps, is I can see through it and line it up. And if you haven't heard, Stampin' Up! Has announced that they are discontinuing the red rubber. Let me show you this. And everything is going to be these photopolymer stamps going forward. I think, by the new catalog that will take effect. Okay, so that should be it for the Real Red. So that's a big change, but they're also going to change the packaging. It's going to be slimmer. It's going to be, I'm sure it's going to be more lightweight. And then they're going to have a new system for the dies, where it'll have artwork like this. So you'll actually be able to see the dies, and it's supposed to be easier to store stamps and dies together. I do that a lot. I just take it out of these envelopes and store this right inside. So I've sort of been doing that, but if they're going to simplify it, I'm all for that. So I think I want to spray in this corner. I'm just taking up a little space here, and then maybe just a little bitty sprig up there. Just, I'm trying to stay very simple. The poinsettias, I think, really make the card, so it just adds a little bit on the inside. All right, so wow, that went very fast. I'm going to go ahead and adhere this. And I hadn't really thought about, should I put gems on here? I hadn't pulled out bows or ribbon or anything. So I'm gonna have to see what I've got handy and then decide if I want to wrap something in ribbon. But again, I'm thinking that this is so beautiful just as it is. Maybe I'll go this direction. Maybe I'll go this direction. That's the hard part, is figuring out which way you want to display. I want to make sure that that poinsettia is kind of front and center. So that, I think, will be my deciding factor. So let me center this up. Oh, that gold foil is just stunning, the way it sparkles. And now I will use my Stampin' Seal to make sure I've got adhesive on the corners. I didn't even get very close to the edge there. I do like to make sure my corners don't pop up. So let's do that. And then put kind of an even edge all the way top and sides. And then, of course, I've got more space at the bottom. That stuck down before I was quite ready. There we go. So this, yeah, I do want that at an angle. And I need my dimensionals, which are over here in the drawer. Well, they were. They must have popped out. Huh. I was using stuff yesterday, so that means it's out on my desk somewhere. And I don't see. Yep, there it is right there. Sometimes I shove things aside and then can't find it when I'm looking for it. Okay, so let's do some dimensionals behind this cute banner to make it pop off the card. And I do want to make sure I get those edges. These, this is kind of cool because it can separate, but I don't think I want it too wiggly. So let me put dimensionals behind that. And like, this might be looking really cool if I put it over one of those other shapes out of the different shapes in those labels. But for right now, for the first play with this, I think I'm going to stick kind of simple. So let's do that. And I think because I'm seeing red berries, oh, my new gems. Hadn't unpacked these yet. Check this out. These are the traditional sparkling sequins. And this card calls for just a few of those. I was looking at the berries thinking, oh, I've got red rhinestones. And then I remembered I have these. And these are so cute. So I'm thinking a little red bling, maybe here. I don't want a lot. Maybe a gold one too. Let's see. Up here. And then down here. So I've got my bling spread out. Okay, I'm going to flip this up. I don't think this card needs Wink of Stella. You don't very often hear me say that because I would put Wink on. The gold foil gives it just that beautiful shimmer. So this says sending love and joy. And then I put Merry Christmas on the inside. Plenty of room to write a message inside there. So this is coming September. I didn't look up the date. September 2nd or 3rd should be the launch. Traditional labels. This was the bundle. So I did get the dies right here that go with the stamps. And then there was paper that coordinates, and you can just go to town, you know, put ribbon and all sorts of things with it. So this is my card for today. I hope you've enjoyed this. I'm still on vacation, but we'll be back very soon. And so there'll be more live content coming up. This is just being recorded the week before I travel. So appreciate you following along. If you like what you see here, projects and products, you can find me at Carolina Creative or hashtag Carolina Creative. I'm also on the Stampin' Up! Network. It's Renee Keese at stampinup.net. Thanks for staying tuned.